Hello and welcome to today's video, the first tutorial that we are doing this year. So in case you're new here, my name is Stacy. I'm a data analyst and I like sharing the knowledge that I've gained thus far. Hence why I have this platform where I do a number of tutorials and projects around everything and anything data analysis. Soon to introduce sit-down videos. So back to tutorials and projects. I do tutorials and projects around SQL, Power BI, Python, Tableau, Excel, etc. So if that's something you're interested in, feel free to join the family. So today we are going to be looking at date functions in SQL, and we're specifically going to be looking at two functions, date trunc and interval. So yeah, in case you're totally new to MySQL and you don't know how to load the dataset provided onto your MySQL, I'm going to link a tutorial down below. And in that same tutorial, you'll find another link that can help you set up MySQL in case you want to use MySQL, or else, yeah, you can use whatever you're comfortable with, honestly, whether you're on MySQL, PostgreSQL, SQLite. The difference between most of those functions are very minor, and most of the general things, like how you do aggregate functions, how you do select from, is similar regardless of the type of SQL or SQL that you're using. But anyway, guys, now let's get into the first question. So the first thing is we want to count all payments that came in between 1st of November and 31st of December. I think I already mentioned I'm going to link this data set down below here. But this is just basically a very small, simple data set that has, this is just basically a very small and simple, small and simple data set that's just tracking payments that were made by various clients. As you can see, there's payment ID, purchase ID, amount paid, and then the payment date, yeah? So the first thing that we want to do is to just come here, we're on this column here. This is the table we're on. So if we do and open the columns, so we are going to work a lot with the payments date. And as you can see, the payments date is in the format text. So we need to change this to date, yeah, or else you'll be able to manipulate it, yeah. So before we start, so the first thing I'm just going to do is just comment this out, yeah. In MySQL, if you want to start a new tab, so you just click on this. Then there you go. You have a new tab where you can work, yeah. So I already have mine open. I don't really need that, yeah. So I've already done this here. So I'm just going to pick the code and edit a few things, yeah, because I did it for like a previous table. So, okay, we need that, and we also need this, yeah. So I'm going to explain what's going on here, yeah. So the first thing we want to do is to alter the table. And the table we are working with here is this, yeah, debits. So it's in the schema shop data and it's called debits, yeah. So we replace it here. So we want to alter table. The name of the table is debits, yeah. And the column that we're interested in is payment date, not purchase date, yeah. So payment date, there you go. So let's run this and see what happens. Okay, so you get an error because this specific column, the format that the date is in is not in a format that is accepted by MySQL. So MySQL usually wants it in year, month, then day, but this is in month, day, then year. So the first thing you need to do for some data sets, this step would just be enough, but for this particular data set, this step is not enough. If this is not relevant for you, maybe you're just here to really learn how like date trunc works and interval works. Just skip this bit, yeah. Okay, so then the next thing we're going to do, so what this piece of code is basically doing is it's checking if this payment date is not in the ideal format, yeah, it will switch it to the correct format, yeah. So the first thing we're going to do is to just put the actual table that we're using in this case. So we want to update the debits, yeah, and we're interested in payment date, not purchase date. By the ChatGPT help me here, like you guys, ChatGPT is a savior, yeah. So set purchase date. Make sure I didn't. Okay, so let's run this and see what happens. Okay, so it worked, yeah. So now the only thing that I want to tell you people is, so my SQL is usually in safe mode, yeah. That means it's just meant to protect, like to protect your data, yeah. So imagine if this was like actual company data, be it like your personal company, my personal company, or a company that you're working for. Ideally, you should not be able, like you can't just go updating things randomly. You can make data get lost. So my SQL has put that thing in measures, put that measure. So if someone tries to change something, it will refuse unless you go and remove the safe mode. So this is how you remove the safe mode. So you just do set SQL safe updates equals to 0. So I already removed my safe mode. So for you, if you get another error, it doesn't give you the output we got, and it tells you something about safe mode when you read the error. Just come and select this and run. Yeah, so I already did that. And then, so we don't need this, we've run it. So if you come here and we try to alter the table again, now it should work. There you go. Nothing is happening, you're not getting any errors. That means this has worked, yeah. So this bit is done. Also, guys, please just note that I'm going to share, on top of the data set, I'm going to share this code with you guys, so you'll find it down in the description, yeah. So if you come to the table we're working with, we refresh all. As you can see, payment date is now a date. It's no longer in text format. And now we are ready to answer our first question, of which our first question was, so let me just bring it down. So our first question is, count all payments that came in between 1st of November and 31st of December, yeah? So the first thing I just want to do is, can we actually see all payments in general, yeah? So count all, yeah. So when we run this, I'm so used to doing Control Enter. I don't know why it doesn't work here. Like, if someone knows a shortcut for running my SQL, please let me know so I don't have to come and use I don't have to come and use these icons here. I just do my shortcuts. So if someone knows, please let me know down in the comment below. So as you can see, all the columns in this data, we have a total of 75 entries, rows in this data set, yeah? So keep that in mind, or let me just write it somewhere. See, I'm still doing here my Control Enter, yeah? So we can write here, we have 75 entries, yeah? So we have 75, yeah? But now we want to select all. So in case what I've done, you didn't get, you're not sure what's going on, I was working with aggregate function. So count is an aggregate function. Asterisk is a wildcard. So it allows you to just count everything, but it's the same as if I was to do like count into brackets payment ID. But that's not the point of this video. If you don't know how like aggregate functions work, among other like intermediate, advanced, or basic level, beginner level SQL, is it beginner, basic? Yeah, but you get the gist. Just go check out my tutorial. So under my playlist, I have a bunch of SQL tutorials, so you can just go check out and see like what have I not understood so well. I have tutorials that can help you understand it if you want to start from scratch. you can literally follow my tutorials all the way from beginner to intermediate to advanced, though I'm still finishing up the advanced. I think the joins are the last bit of intermediate, which I'm going to finish. Like this whole week, expect a video every day. We're going to finish this. But anyway, you get my point, yeah? Now let's go into actually answering the actual question. And we're going to introduce the where clause, which is something that I also have a tutorial on if you want to practice it more, yeah? So we want to select all, yeah, where payment date so you can either use between or you can use greater than equals to, yeah? So I'm going to use greater than equals to, yeah? So where payment date is greater than or equals to, so the lower limit that we're interested in is 2023 November 01 and payment date is less than or equals to 2023 December 31st, yeah? So yeah, let's run that and see what's going to happen. Okay, so we have a bunch of things here. So my assumption is even if you quickly scan through this, you're not going to see any 2024, yeah? So if I hadn't mentioned earlier, this data set has payments that were made between November, December, and January 2024. So November, December 2023, then January 2024. So if you look through it quickly, you can't see any 2024, but that's not the right way to like scan through your data. The best way to do it is to do it programmatically, yeah? So if I was to just get rid of that and run this again, as you can see, if you even scanned it through it quickly, you can see some 2024s, yeah? So that's what I was talking about. So if we go back, now we know we've selected just payments that came in between 2023 November and December, yeah? So now what do we want to do? We want to count. So you could either count all, and this is number of payments, yeah? Or, yeah, number of payments. So you could either count all, or you could count using the payment ID, because the payment ID is a unique identifier in this table, meaning you can't find 101 twice, or 107, or 111, or 111 twice. Why is it like that? Anyway, let's count it first, then I can. So 47. So 74 entries, and we have 47 payments made between 1st November and 31st December. Yeah, and that's our first very basic question that is just introducing us to how date functions work, yeah? So I was just curious about something. So let me comment this out, because this is what we are doing. And if we select all, I think, but that should not make sense. Should that make sense? Then we do order by payment ID. Yeah, there's something off with the payment ID. But is it off? No, it's not off. It's actually okay. So if I remove this, made my shortcuts. Okay, yeah, I see. I see what's up. Yeah, so the only thing I'm going to say here is don't pay so much attention to the payment ID, because the point of this data set was just to introduce you guys to date functions, and then to introduce you guys how to use inner join, like how to work with joins, yeah. But you're going to notice that there's some people who have a payment ID that is small. So like now, for example, payment ID 108, and the payment came in 2024, and then you find payment ID 1111 and the payment came in 2023, which doesn't make sense. So ideally, this 2023 should have like a higher payment ID compared to this guys for 2024. But don't worry, that's just a minor thing. Let it not disturb your head. The good thing is this is a tutorial. This is not a project. So we're just using this data set to learn to learn how date functions work, and to also learn how joins work. And we're not going to use this data set for a project. In case I decide that we're going to use it for a project, then I will for sure have to correct like what's happening down there. Anyway, let's go to the next question. Yeah, so we can just comment this out since we are done with that. Let me also just put one so that it's easier for me to separate when I am sharing this code with you. And yeah, okay, what do we want to? So we want to count the number of unique purchases made for the number of unique purchases paid for month over month. Showcase the difference with all payments. So this is just a bonus, by the way. Like showcasing the difference with all payments is a bonus, but this is ideally something that we are going to cover in joins, because that's where you really get to understand the difference between like inner join and left join. Like, yeah, yeah. So now let's just count the number of unique purchases paid for month over month. So as you'll notice here, let me look for example, yeah. So you see like there's a purchase ID 12. So, and 12 appears 3 times. So what does this tell you? This client, or rather this purchase ID, so it was one purchase, maybe this was like, I don't know, a bed, yeah, and this bed was worth 300 times 3, so it was worth like 900, yeah. But this person didn't pay for it at once, they paid for it in installments, yeah. So if you do count payment IDs, it will count this thrice. But in real sense, this is one item. It's just that this person is paying for it in bits. Yeah. So that's why we want to do unique payments. So any payments that went towards a purchase ID 12. Yeah. So let's say purchase ID 12 is a bed. This bed was 900K. So all payments that went towards this bed, yeah, like we count them as one. So that's what I mean by unique. Yeah. So don't worry in case that's a bit confusing. Like, let's see what happens here. But we are also going to get into like joins, and we'll really get into like what's going on here and how you can work with joins to make sure you're giving people the right data, and you're not like, joining data wrongly, or just pulling data wrongly generally and giving people wrong information. We don't want that, yeah? So what do we want to do? We want to select, and we want to count, yeah? And we want to count, and we're counting purchase ID, yeah? Purchase ID. As so unique purchases. So let's say count number unique purchases, yeah? So these names are a bit too long. If you don't mind them, well and good. If you have better ways to name them, feel free to change whatever you want to name it by. And we are going to be selecting this from so we're going to be getting this from that table. And yeah, so we're just counting the number of unique purchases month over month. I had totally forgotten about that. So what do we want to do first here? So we want to get the payment date here. And then we also want to get the purchase ID. Yeah. And this time there's no time limit. Yeah. Or did we put a time limit? There's no time limit. So we have the payment date and we have the purchase ID. Yeah. So we want a count of all this. Yeah. But all the ones that were purchased in November, Jan, Jan, Dec should be counted as one in one group. So it should be aggregated. Yeah. So how do we do that? So there's a function called date trunk. Yeah. But it just hit me right now. In my SQL, it's not called date trunk. So yeah, this is a very good time to jump onto ChatGPT and just figure out what it's actually called in ChatGPT, in like the equivalent of date trunk in ChatGPT. And then, yeah, we get back. So yeah, so just give me a minute. I go into ChatGPT, get the code, or go into my previous projects, get the syntax, then we get back. You guys, ChatGPT is such a big savior, though honestly, I've not gotten it from ChatGPT. Like I've gotten into this like block-ish before, and I was so ready to do my analysis, and I just remembered my SQL doesn't have date trunk. It uses something else, and it's called date format. Yeah. So what I did then, I don't know, my mind still hasn't clicked that ChatGPT exists. So I jumped onto Google first, and I was Googling, trying to read articles, nini. And then I was just like, I've been Googling for like 10 or 15 minutes, but ChatGPT will give me instantly. Yeah. But disclaimer, people, ChatGPT can only help you if you already have some good foundation. So the reason why I can also quickly get into ChatGPT and really get help and make sense of what's going on is because I already have a pretty good foundation of how SQL works. So I'm not encouraging anyone to just be ChatGPT in everything. Take time to learn the fundamentals. So if it means for you, you still need to go for tutorials, whether they are video tutorials like this, or you need to get like a written tutorial, or go and read the documentation, do it. Yeah, no shortcuts. Yeah. So the first thing we're going to do is like, you see here, we like this first four were all paid in November. Yeah. So we want to change these dates into a month format. So the month format will have this as 2023 November 1st. So all of this will change into first. Yeah. And how that works is we are going to be using this syntax here. So date format, which in Postgres is date trunk, yeah. But here it's called date format. Then what are we going to do? We are picking the column that we're interested in formatting. So that's the payment date. And then now it's specifying we want the year, the month, and then first. So if you wanted year, you do year 0101. Now you're just getting year, but here we want the year and the month here. So if we run this, let's see what happens, you see? So now this is will all count as November. This is December. Notice everything has reverted to first. Yeah. So now we don't need this anymore. Yeah. Now we have the month. We can run it. And then we have the purchase ID. Yeah. But we want to count this purchase ID. Sorry. But yeah, we want to count this purchase ID as number. So we want to count this purchase. Sorry about that, guys. My people decided to walk slowly behind me and scare me. But anyway, yeah, let's get into it. Let's get back into it. So as I was saying, so now we want to count purchase ID, and this is number of unique purchases. Yeah. Okay. So let's run this. Yeah, we're going to get an error, and it's a group by issue. So again, if you're not very familiar with anything that I'm talking about here, chances are high, actually nothing I've talked about here I've not already created a tutorial about. So if you don't really understand how group by works, please feel free to go and check out the tutorial. So yeah, basically when you're working with group by, you have the non-aggregated column, which in this case is month, and then you have the aggregated column, which in this case is number of unique purchases. Yeah. So whenever you have an aggregated column and a non-aggregated column, the non-aggregated column either needs to get aggregated or you put it in the group by clause. Yeah. So group by one. So you can say group by one or group by month. So you either use the name of the column or you use the position. So like it's the first one, the second one. So we're grouping by one. So let's run that and you see, and there you go. So count the number of unique purchases paid for month over month. So there were 20 items that were paid for in November, 27 in December, and 28 in January. So these are unique. So what about all payments? So all payments, you will use payment ID, yeah? So instead of counting purchase ID, you're counting payment ID, yeah? So payment ID. Oh, what is wrong? As all payments, yeah? So these are, yeah. So these are the unique items paid for, and this is all payments. So if one item was paid for in installments 4 times, we'll know. Okay, but it's aggregated, so we can't really see who. That is not supposed to happen. That makes no sense. So what is happening is, you see, remember the 12 that we saw 3 times? So when you just do count purchase ID, it's counting those 12 3 times, yeah? But when you do distinct purchase ID, now 3 12s count as one, yeah? So here, whether you use payment ID or you do use purchase ID, it's okay. So as you can see, there were a number of partial payments. If there were no partial payments, like installment payments, like the number of unique purchases and all payments would be the same, yeah? But here now we know how to use date trunc / date format. So in MySQL, it's called date format. In PostgreSQL, it's called date trunc. So we're going to answer one more question, and this question is going to be using interval, and yeah, we call it a tutorial. So we want to count unique purchases paid for between 1st of December and 30 days after 1st of December, yeah? So what's going to happen here, yeah? So this is very similar to the first one, but let's just write it again. So we want to select all from, okay, so that's all, yeah? But we want where payment date is greater than or equals to. So you always start with the year 2023. Did I say 1st of December? Yeah. 2023 December 01. So greater than or equals to. So when we run that already, it's going to, like, you will not see any November data here. Yeah, you can run it and verify in your own way, but yeah, you should not see any November data here because the earliest date will be 1st of December. Yeah, and then we want the payment. We want the same payment date. Yeah, to be less than or equals to. So what you can do is you could literally take 1st of December, yeah, and add 30 days to it. So 30 days to it, that is 31st, if I'm not wrong, yeah. Or you could do plus interval 30 days, yeah. So, why is it doing that? There is something wrong. Let's run and see the error we're going to get. So there's an error in the syntax. Let's so yeah. Okay, so how interval works, yeah, and this is not like, this was just me introducing to you guys how interval works, yeah, but it's always safer to use intervals. So plus the number of days you're interested in minus the number of days you're interested in. You could manually count, but that's also not very efficient. So every time you need to do such a difference, you're there counting with your fingers, adding some, no. You can easily make a mistake, but this way you're not making a mistake, yeah. And now it's time to debug and figure out why we're getting this error, yeah. So I want to just go and look at some of my old code that I've used interval, and then just try and find the error. Also just stare at the screen and figure out what's wrong. And then there's always ChatGPT, yeah. So guys, I don't know if this is not working because this is not like, I think I've mentioned to people who are like, I'm not new to this channel, like, I'm a Postgres girl. So I'm just not sure if this is an error because this is not a Postgres thing. So yeah, if you know, please let me know. But of course, ChatGPT/Google has come to the rescue. So I've gotten another syntax to do the exact same thing. But yeah, if anyone who knows if the way I wrote it is only for Postgres and it's not applicable in MySQL, please let us know down below. Educate us, please, educate us, yeah. So there you go. And you remember all the entries were 74. So if we do count for, what do we get? 27. So there were only 27 payments that were made between 31st of December and 30 days later. So this is a very efficient way to write this. You should not be there counting, adding separately. You could easily make a mistake and add by one, add excess by one, or it's short by one. And let me tell you, such small mistakes can be misleading to decision makers, and it can cost a lot of money. Not to put pressure on you, but I'm very serious. So like, using interval is a very safe way. And I've actually, I don't think I've ever used it like this, honestly. I think I came up with this use case specifically for this tutorial, but I don't think I've ever used it like this. I use it for other things that I can't find a way to not talk about it without like sharing confidential information. But the whole point of being a data analyst is like, learn, upskill, observe. I learn a lot from just looking at my fellow analysts, like whether it's someone I work with or a random person who posted something like a piece of their code of a project they're working on LinkedIn. I enjoy reading through those things because you'll see people manipulate things in such interesting ways. And then even if they use it for a different case, one day you'll get a blocker, like you have a solution that you need to build, and voila, that thing that you saw there is what helps you. So I personally don't use interval like this. Like, I've never used it on a where clause, but the point of my over talking is I just hope you get like how it works. And yeah, when you're building a solution, you'll remember this use case and see how you can use it differently for whatever you're trying to do. Otherwise, guys, that's it for this video. If this is something you enjoyed, please feel free to like. Let me know what you think down in the comment below. Join the family by subscribing. And thank you guys for 1,000 subscribers. Like in 5 months and a couple of weeks. It was 30 videos later. I managed to get 1,000 subscribers. I feel grateful. I'm happy the community is growing. I know I'm not talking to myself. So yeah, if this is something you like, you enjoyed, like, let me know down in the comment below. Share with people who you think will benefit from this. Yeah, subscribe and let me know down in the comments below, like, what other types of tutorials that you want me to create. Like, there's someone who told me to get back to Python. I will, but I don't know if it's even going to be this quarter, you know? Like, there's a time I was like, I don't want to say I had a lot of time. Then again, I also took like a week's leave. I took leave, so I have a 9 to 5, yeah. And I was just creating a bunch of content, and I managed to do like a lot of content at a specific time. But you guys, things have been crazy. Like towards the end of the year, at work, it's been crazy. So even my weekends, I barely got time to just do like personal things, yeah. And things are still crazy at work. I've just learned how to be sane in the craziness and create time for like other personal projects. So on that note, I'm really not sure if I'll be able to get back to Python this quarter. My focus is to just finish this SQL, which I was supposed to finish last year. So I want to finish it like by Feb, and then March, do some projects, start a subquery series, because subqueries was the only thing that I was going to allow to spill over to 2024. So I ensured this first quarter it's going to be a lot of finishing up SQL. So I'm not sure if I'll get back to Python this quarter, maybe projects, but not necessarily tutorials, but you get the gist. Now I'm over talking. Let me leave you all. Let's have a conversation down in the comments below. People, bye.